You just won the most powerful job on Earth. Take a moment, breathe it in. The motorcades, the helicopter, the applause. Every room you walk into stands up. Every door opens before you reach it. The most famous house in the world is now your house. There's a chef, a doctor, a team of people whose entire job is to make sure you are comfortable, rested, and alive. And somewhere, in a building you haven't visited yet, a man is carrying a black briefcase. He goes where you go. He doesn't eat with you. He doesn't sleep in your room, but he is never more than a few steps behind you. No matter where you walk, no matter what time it is, no matter how much you might want 5 minutes alone. Inside that briefcase is the authority to end human civilization. That's your briefcase now. Welcome to the job. Let's talk about the 4 people who held it before you and didn't make it out alive. April 14th, 1865. Imagine you are Abraham Lincoln. You have spent 4 years holding a country together with your bare hands, not metaphorically, literally. You have read every casualty report from a war that has now swallowed more than 600,000 lives. You have written every condolence letter. You have sat in the telegraph office through the night, waiting for news from battlefields, your face lit by a single lamp, your hands folded in your lap, your chest carrying a weight that no man was built to carry alone. You have gone home to a White House that feels like it is in permanent mourning because your son Willie died here in 1862, 11 years old, typhoid fever. And your wife Mary has never fully recovered from that. Not really. And so you carry her grief on top of all the rest of it, because that is what you do. You are 56 years old, and you look 70. Your friends notice, your staff notice. They don't say it to your face, but 5 days ago, General Lee surrendered at Appomattox. The war is ending. This morning, you actually feel good. You had a dream last night. A ship moving with great speed toward a dark and indescribable shore, and you've had that same dream before every major event of the war. You take it as a good omen. You decide to go to the theater. You had been warned not to go out. You go anyway, because you believe, and you have said this out loud, that a president who locks himself away out of fear of being killed is not fit to be president. You also believe that if someone wants you dead badly enough, they will find a way regardless. You are right about the second part. You are relaxed, for the first time in what feels like years. The audience below doesn't know you are watching, and then they do, and the whole theater erupts, and the orchestra plays Hail to the Chief, and you bow, a little embarrassed, and sit back down. At 10:15, the door behind you opens. You don't hear it. The comedy is loud. The audience is laughing. His name is John Wilkes Booth. He is a famous actor. He knows this theater the way he knows his own face in a mirror. He collects his mail here. He has been planning this for months. He chose tonight because he knew the box would be unguarded. He shot you once in the back of the head with a .44 caliber Derringer. The ball passes through your skull and lodges behind your right eye. You slump forward in your rocking chair. You never regain consciousness. Booth leaps from the box to the stage below, catches his boot spur on a draped flag, breaks his leg on the landing, and runs into the night. A 23-year-old army doctor in the audience climbs up into the box. He came to the theater tonight specifically hoping to catch a glimpse of you, the president he admired more than any other. He finds you dying instead. He cradles your head and presses the wound and holds you through the next several hours while men carry you across the street to a boarding house bedroom too small for your unusual height and lay you diagonally across a stranger's bed. You die at 7:22 in the morning on April 15th. Your Secretary of War stands at the foot of the bed and says, "Now he belongs to the ages." Your wife Mary is so devastated she cannot bring herself to attend your funeral. She takes to her bed and misses it entirely. She misses the last public moment of your life because her grief is simply too enormous to stand upright inside. Booth is hunted down 12 days later, found hiding in a tobacco barn in Virginia, and shot dead. 4 of his co-conspirators are hanged. One of them is a woman, the first to be executed by the federal government of the United States. The country holds its breath, then it keeps going. That is what countries do. All you wanted was to end the war, to hold the country together, to go home to your wife and your sons and sleep through the night without dreaming of ships heading toward dark shores. You showed courage every day for 4 years. You went to the theater to ease the tension, and the door opened behind you. 16 years passed. July 2nd, 1881. Imagine you are James Garfield. You are a good man, self-made, which is not nothing. You were born in a log cabin in Ohio, raised in poverty by a widowed mother, worked your way to a college education, in a military career, and eventually, improbably, to the White House. You have been president for 4 months. You have plans, real ones. You are already beginning to dismantle the corruption in the political appointment system, and powerful people have already noticed, and they are already angry. But you are not worried. You are going to see your wife today. She has been recuperating from an illness at the seaside in New England. You are looking forward to seeing her more than you can say. You are walking through a Washington train station at 9:20 in the morning, arm in arm with your Secretary of State. You are catching a train. You are thinking about the ocean air and your wife's face when she sees you. The man who shoots you is named Charles Guiteau. He is mentally ill. He has convinced himself, in the absolute, unshakable way that only a certain kind of derangement allows, that he personally won you the presidency, because he gave a small speech at a small gathering that nobody much paid attention to. In his mind, you owe him. He wanted a diplomatic posting, Vienna or Paris. He was willing to settle for Paris. He visited your office repeatedly. He was eventually banned from the building entirely. So he bought a pistol. He chose one with an ivory handle, specifically because he thought it would look more impressive in a museum after he used it. He has been following you for weeks. He fires twice. One bullet grazes your arm. The second enters your lower back and lodges near your pancreas. You cry out, "My God, what is this?" And here is the terrible part. The bullet itself is not fatal. Read that again. The wound is survivable. The bullet has not struck any vital organs. If you were left alone, or if just treated with basic competence, you would almost certainly live.
But you are not treated with competence. The first doctor on the scene sinks his unwashed fingers deep into the wound, searching for the bullet. Then another doctor does the same. Then another. American physicians in 1881 largely reject the theory that invisible microorganisms cause infection. A man named Joseph Lister has already developed antiseptic techniques in Britain. American doctors, by and large, do not believe him. The doctor who takes charge of your case, a man whose given first name is actually Doctor, which should tell you something about his personality, refuses second opinions. He refuses to let Alexander Graham Bell, who has built a primitive metal detector specifically to find your bullet, examine the side of your body where the bullet actually is, because this doctor has decided the bullet is on the other side and will not be corrected by anyone. For 79 days, you lie in the White House, suffering. The Washington summer is brutal. You cannot keep food down. You waste away from 210 pounds to 130 pounds. Your body fills with abscesses. Doctors make a 20-inch incision without anesthesia, searching for a bullet they never find. You are fed through enemas. You are eventually moved to a seaside cottage in New Jersey in the hope that the ocean air might help. It doesn't. You die on September 19, 1881, of sepsis, raging systemic infection caused not by Guiteau's bullet, but by the hands of the doctors who were supposed to save you. Your wife, Lucretia, who survived malaria while you lay dying, is at your side. At Guiteau's trial, the delusional man has the extraordinary gall to say, "The doctors ought to be indicted for murdering James Garfield, not me." The terrible, unfunny, maddening truth is that he was not entirely wrong. Guiteau is hanged the following year. He is planned to recite a poem at the gallows. He does. You were president for 199 days. You had plans. 20 more years passed. September 6th, 1901. Imagine you are William McKinley. You are one of the most popular presidents in decades. You guided the country through the Spanish-American War. You have just been re-elected in a landslide. Last night, 116,000 people came to hear you speak at the Pan American Exposition in Buffalo, New York. There were fireworks afterward, and the pyrotechnics spelled out the words, "Welcome President McKinley, Chief of our nation and our empire." You stood there and watched your own name in fire against the night sky and thought, this is the life. This is what you worked for. You are 6 months into your second term. You are at the height of everything. This afternoon, you are attending a public meet and greet at the Exposition's Temple of Music. Your staff has tried to cancel it twice. They are worried. You are standing in an open line shaking hands with strangers, and they are nervous, and you overrule them, both times, because you believe in being close to the people. You always have. 2 of your predecessors have been assassinated, and it has not changed your philosophy. People deserve access to their president. You are not going to hide. Because of the heat, the rule requiring visitors to present empty hands has been relaxed. People are allowed to carry handkerchiefs to wipe their faces. At 4:07 in the afternoon, a 28-year-old anarchist named Leon Chalgaz comes through the line. He has been following you for 2 days. He nearly shot you at the train station on arrival. He considered acting during your speech last night while 116,000 people watched. He has a small revolver concealed beneath a handkerchief in his right hand. He fires twice into your abdomen at point-blank range. You rise slightly on your toes, then you collapse forward. As men wrestle Chalgaz to the ground and begin beating him, you, bleeding, still operating on some deep reflex of dignity that 4 years in the presidency has built into your bones, reach out and say, "Stop, don't hurt him." Then you turn to your aide and say, "Be careful how you tell my wife. Oh, be careful." For several days, you seem to recover. Your vice president, Teddy Roosevelt, is so confident in your condition that he goes on a camping trip in the Adirondacks. Doctors issue optimistic bulletins. The country exhales. You almost believe it yourself. Then, on September 13th, gangrenous tissue is found around the internal wound. The damage to your pancreas in 1901 is essentially untreatable. Your condition collapses rapidly. According to the people in the room with you at the end, you die singing softly under your breath, part of a hymn called "Nearer My God to Thee." Your last audible words directed to your wife were, "It is God's will. His will be done, not ours." You die at 2:15 in the morning on September 14th, 1901. Your assassination is the third in less than 40 years. After it, Congress finally passes legislation formally charging the Secret Service with protecting the president. It took 3 dead presidents to make that happen. Theodore Roosevelt becomes the first commander-in-chief to receive round-the-clock protection. He is shot the following year, anyway, while campaigning. He gives the speech first, still bleeding, and tells the audience it takes more than a bullet to stop a bull moose. The manuscript of the speech in his breast pocket slows the bullet just enough. Some of them are genuinely built differently, but you were not given that chance. All you wanted was to shake some hands, to be close to the people who elected you, to be the kind of president who didn't hide. You reached out and told them not to hurt the man who shot you. And then there was Dallas, November 22nd, 1963. Imagine you are William John F. Kennedy. You have been president for 1,000 days. You are young, charismatic, and carrying a strain the public never fully sees. 14 months ago, you managed the Cuban Missile Crisis, 13 days during which your own military advisors estimated the odds of nuclear war at 1 in 3. Your generals wanted airstrikes. They told you it was the only way. You ignored them. You maintained the blockade. You negotiated the Soviet missiles out of Cuba without firing a single shot, and you walked out of those 13 days as a man who had personally stood between the world and its own destruction. You told a friend afterward that those 2 weeks took something out of you that never came back. You don't know exactly what it was, but you know it's gone.
You were in Texas because Texas is a battleground state, and you need it for re-election. You have been warned that Dallas in particular is hostile territory. Adlai Stevenson was physically attacked there just last month. Your own advisors urge you not to go. You go anyway. The motorcade route has been published in the local newspaper this morning. It is a beautiful day. The original plan included a bulletproof bubble top on the limousine, but the weather is so clear and the crowd so warm that the decision is made to leave it open. You are relieved. You turn to the governor's wife and tell her you can't believe people said Dallas would be unfriendly. She is in the middle of replying when the first shot is fired. His name is Lee Harvey Oswald. He is a former Marine who defected to the Soviet Union, returned to the United States, and took a job at the Texas School Book Depository, which overlooks your motorcade route. He fires 3 shots from a 6th-floor window with a bolt-action rifle. 1 misses, 1 strikes you in the back of the neck, the 3rd strikes you in the head. Your wife Jacqueline, sitting in the back seat beside you, crawls onto the trunk of the still-moving car. There are photographs of that moment that exist in history now and cannot be unseen. She is trying to retrieve a piece of your skull. You were pronounced dead at Parkland Memorial Hospital at 1 in the afternoon. You are 46 years old. Lyndon Johnson is sworn in as president 2 hours and 8 minutes later on board Air Force One. Your wife stands beside him, still wearing the pink suit, still carrying the evidence of what happened on Elm Street. She refuses to change. She says she wants them to see what they have done. Oswald is arrested within hours. 2 days later, while being transferred through the Dallas police station, a nightclub owner named Jack Ruby pushes through the crowd and shoots Oswald dead on live national television. Oswald never stands trial. No motive is ever fully established to the satisfaction of everyone. The Warren Commission concludes he acted alone. 50 years later, roughly half of all Americans still don't believe that. They may never believe it. Your funeral is watched by 93% of American households. Your son John is 3 years old. At the graveside, your wife leans down and tells him to salute. The photograph of that salute becomes one of the most recognized images in the history of the world. A small boy in a coat, his hand raised, his father in the ground. All you wanted was to carry that nuclear briefcase and never open it. All you wanted was to keep the missiles out of Cuba and the bombs out of the sky and your children out of a war that hadn't happened yet. You did that. You actually did that. And then the motorcade turned onto Elm Street on a beautiful day. 4 presidents shot dead in office across a span of less than a century. And in between those 4, you find the ones who came close. If you were Gerald Ford, you survived 2 separate assassination attempts in 17 days, both in California, both in 1975, both with women, both times walking away from your own death because the guns misfired or the angles were wrong. If you are Ronald Reagan, you take a bullet to the chest in 1981 that stops 1 inch from your heart, and you walk into the hospital and tell the surgeons you hope they're all Republicans, and you somehow survive to serve 6 more years. If you were Donald Trump, a rifle round grazes your ear at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania in July 2024, and the man standing in the crowd behind you, a father of 2 who came to watch a speech, is struck and killed by the same shooter. He dies at a rally. He is not the president, not a politician, not a security officer. He just came to watch a speech. That is the radius of this job. That is what you inherit when you win. It doesn't stay in the Oval Office. It doesn't stay with you. It moves in concentric circles outward from the office itself and touches everyone in the vicinity. Your spouse, your children, your security detail, and the strangers who simply happened to be standing in the wrong place on the wrong afternoon, when someone has decided that the way to change history is to point a gun at the most powerful person in the room. You didn't ask for that radius, but it's yours now. And then there is everything that lives alongside the physical danger, the things that don't make the history books, but eat at you every single day. There is the briefing on your first morning, the President's Daily Brief, the most comprehensive threat assessment compiled by any intelligence apparatus on Earth, delivered before breakfast, before coffee has fully kicked in, telling you every way the world is currently falling apart. Some of it you can do something about, some of it you cannot. All of it is your responsibility, regardless. You read it, you close the folder, you go to your first meeting of the day. You do this every morning for 4 years. There are the decisions that come with wrong answers on every side. If you are Harry Truman in 1945, you sit alone with the weight of 2 options: an invasion of Japan that your military estimates could cost 500,000 American lives and millions of Japanese lives, or a weapon so new and so devastating that no one in history has ever seen anything like it. You write in your diary, "It is an awful responsibility that has come to us." You use the bomb, twice, Hiroshima, then Nagasaki. The war ends 8 days later. You carry the weight of those 2 cities for the rest of your life. When pushed, you say, and you mean both things at once, and you know how strange that sounds, that you still believe it was the right call and that it was the worst decision you ever made. That is the specific category of hell that only presidents inhabit, the decision where you choose the least catastrophic version of mass death and then walk back to your desk and keep working. There is the aging. Researchers who study the presidency have found that a president ages roughly 2 years for every single calendar year in office. A 4-year term takes an 8-year physical toll on your body. You arrive looking like yourself. You leave looking like someone who has lived twice as long. Look at the photographs. Look at Lincoln before the war and Lincoln after 4 years of it. Look at Obama, young, vital, that particular spring in his step before 8 years of carrying 2 wars and a financial collapse, and then after. They all arrive with something intact. They all leave with something permanently spent. That will be you. The before and after photographs will be printed side by side, and everyone will see it, and no one will be entirely surprised. There is the loneliness, which is the thing people don't warn you about because it sounds absurd when you are surrounded by people every hour of every day. And yet, you are surrounded by staff, advisors, security personnel. Every single one of them wants something from you or is trying to protect you from something, and not one of them will simply sit with you and talk the way a friend talks. Your actual friends stop calling, not because they don't care about you, because they no longer know how to talk to the person who carries nuclear launch codes, and they are not sure their calls are private, and the distance between who you were and who you are now has become too wide to casually bridge with a phone call on a Tuesday night. The only person in the building who will look you in the eye and tell you the unvarnished truth is your spouse. You will not see your spouse nearly enough. And then there is the legacy question, which is perhaps the cruelest part of all. You make decisions you are certain are right. History decides whether you were right. History takes its time. History does not consult you. Lincoln is called reckless and political suicidal by half the country when he signs the Emancipation Proclamation. Truman's bomb is still being argued over 80 years later. Kennedy is remembered as a hero and a martyr, but the decisions made during his administration helped build the architecture that sent 58,000 Americans to die in Vietnam, a war he would never have to answer for because he was already in the ground before the worst of it arrived. George W. Bush orders the invasion of Iraq on the basis of intelligence that turns out to be catastrophically, irreversibly wrong. He believes what he is told. he acts on what he is given. The war costs more than 4,000 American lives and hundreds of thousands of Iraqi lives, and lasts 8 years, and reshapes the entire geopolitical map of the Middle East, and he has to carry every single one of those deaths in the same body, in the same memory, every morning he wakes up, and every night he tries to sleep. You will work inside a window of incomplete information with imperfect advisors who sometimes tell you what you want to hear, under constant and documented physical threat, with a clock ticking on your limited time in the office. You will make decisions in real time that historians will spend decades picking apart with the luxury of hindsight. You will be wrong about some things. You may not know which ones until long after you can do anything about it. And at the end of it, 4 years or 8 or less if the worst happens, someone else moves in. The briefcase follows them. The 6-minute window passes to the next set of hands. Your portrait goes up on the wall with all the others. You leave looking older than when you arrived. Everyone will notice. No one will pretend not to. You shake hands with your successor. You say the right things about the peaceful transfer of power, which is one of the genuine marvels of the American system. This thing you are participating in, this civilized handing over of the most dangerous object on Earth, this moment where you smile for the cameras and mean it because you know better than anyone what this person is about to inherit. And then you get in a car that no longer has a motorcade, and you drive somewhere quiet, and you sit down, and you try to remember what it felt like before any of this, before the briefings, before the briefcase, before the decisions that aged you a decade in 4 years.
And somewhere just outside that door, a man is carrying a black briefcase. And the portraits of the ones who held this job before you are lining the hallways, watching. Lincoln, Garfield, McKinley, Kennedy. They didn't all make it out. Neither did everyone who happened to be standing near them. But if you think being the president is the hardest thing in this story, wait until you hear about the people who are asked to step in front of the bullet so that you don't have to. That story is next.